Evening, SADC chairperson President Emmerson Mnangagwa says Zimbabwe stands ready to share its experiences in the carbon market. The country recently established a Carbon Markets Authority mandated to regulate and facilitate carbon trading activities. Addressing the SADC Trans-Frontier Conservation Area's Heads of State of Summit in Harare today, President Mnangagwa also encouraged the capacitation of local economies as well as the strengthening of anti-poaching strategies.
In his address, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who's also the SADC chairperson, says Zimbabwe has made bold decisions towards a more sustainable future and that the country is ready to share its experiences in the carbon market with the rest of the region. In a relentless fight against climate change and biodiversity loss, Zimbabwe developed new carbon regulations and the world's first blockchain-based national carbon registry designed to increase transparency.
In our relentless fight against climate change and the biodiversity loss, Zimbabwe developed the new carbon market regulations and the world's first blockchain-based national carbon registry. This was a bold decision towards a more sustainable future.
The president said there is need for the bloc to develop carbon credit market frameworks, noting that it would promote job creation and economic development.
This demonstrates our determination to contribute towards new global standards for transparency, accountability, and sustainability in the carbon market, and that the region and indeed the continent can lead by example.
Despite the plethora of achievements that the program has witnessed, there are a number of challenges that pose threat to the Trans-Frontier Conservation Area sustainability. Sustainable financing, increased human-wildlife conflicts are some of the issues that sought urgent attention. Amongst proposed SADC resolutions were calls to develop tailor-made approaches to address wildlife conflicts and diversify investments.
Summit urged member states to consider the development of tailor-made, practical, and effective approaches to address increased human-wildlife conflicts involving all the relevant development and conservation sectors, and urged partners to prioritize the development of solutions, including legislation to address human-wildlife conflict.
Deals have been signed, commitments have been made, and now we await the implementation of the Trans-Frontier Conservation Area set goals to ensure their long-term sustainability. For ZTM Prime, I am Sitachisiwe Gwaza in Harare.
President Mnangagwa also officially announced that Zimbabwe has achieved full Article 6 compliance of the Paris Agreement. The compliance for carbon credits market will allow the country to partake in carbon trading and enhance its economic aspirations.
Zimbabwe is proud to announce that it has achieved the full Article 6 compliance, allowing the country to participate in this mechanism. To achieve Article 6 readiness, Zimbabwe has put in place comprehensive regulations on carbon trading, making the country the first to transition completely from the risky voluntary carbon market to Article 6 compliance. These regulations include strict social and environmental safeguards, ensuring that every carbon project aligns with Zimbabwe's development. These regulations are backed by the world's first blockchain-based national carbon registry. With the praise of this button before me, I'm initiating the world's first inter-registry transfer under Article 6.
Meanwhile, Malawian President Lazarus Chakwera, who was part of the SADC leaders that attended the summit, says Zimbabwe's United Nations non-permanent sit bid was among issues that he discussed with President Mnangagwa.
Expressing my gratitude for the hospitality and the fact that since he became SADC chair, I haven't been back, and this was a privilege for me and an honor to be here. And so, Zimbabwe is also running for offices. We cooperate on international levels as well. So we talked about all of those things at the UN and so forth. So.
We are now joined by Knowledge Vengi, Zimbabwe Youth Biodiversity Network's Program Coordinator, so that we can just get his assessment of the just ended SADC Transfrontier Conservation Areas Summit. Knowledge, it's a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what is your assessment of the Africa Transfrontier Conservation Areas Summit and its impact on biodiversity?
Yes, so this is a very positive development. We are marking 25 years of collaboration between countries. This stems from the understanding that our biodiversity is not stagnant to one country, but we share some of those species. Some migrate to some countries. Our rivers, our wildlands are shared within those countries. So this is a very big milestone, 25 years of collaboration and transboundary cooperation, so that we conserve what we call our home.
So what are some of the pressing challenges facing conservation areas or affecting conservation areas in Southern Africa, and how best can they be addressed?
So two things are really important when we are talking of conservation in Southern Africa. One is community empowerment. We need to make sure that communities are at the center of benefiting from the natural resources that are within them. Secondly, the issue of poaching. We have lost a significant number of elephants, for example, in the Sebongo region towards Binga thereabout. This is because we lack in terms of capacity to advance our law enforcement efforts. And I think this Transfrontier Conservation Summit has brought together ideas and experts within that sector, so that at least we increase our cross-boundary collaboration in terms of law enforcement and also community empowerment efforts.
Now, lastly, I just want to hear from you. How do you think that SADC Transfrontier Conservation Areas program has contributed to regional cooperation and sustainable development, especially now looking at cross-border law enforcement operations?
So, this summit has marked 25 years of that collaboration between countries. And one takeaway that we have seen is how countries have put forward or come forward to create what we call the CASA Univisa. This is a visa that you can access between three countries in the CASA TFCA. I think it's a positive development in terms of tourism support and also community empowerment in terms of those communities that are into selling tourism-related products. So it's one thing that we've seen the TFC is bringing about, but we've also seen them contributing a lot in terms of law enforcement, cross-boundary in the Manapus, where Zambia and Zimbabwe are collaborating to make sure that poaching and all other incidents are tamed. So this is collaboration between law enforcement, between countries, and it's a very positive development that this CASA and conservation efforts is bringing about.
Knowledge, thank you so much for your insights and for joining us. Now, let us look at a summary of the communique of the Transfrontier Conservation Areas Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government. Now, away from the SADC Conservation Transfrontier Conversations, Zimbabwe's Parliamentary Youth Caucus is set to draft a motion for a youth quota in local authorities and provincial councils, driven by demands from young people who participated in the inaugural 2025 Youth Model Parliament sessions that were held earlier on this year. The initiative, launched by the Zimbabwe Institute and Zimbabwe Youth Council in collaboration with young legislators, aims to amplify youth voices in governance. Legislators met today to discuss key issues raised during the sessions.
Over 280 young people from across Zimbabwe participated in the inaugural Youth Model Parliament 2025. Three main issues were raised in the sessions held in March: the need for technology skills empowerment for young people, an urgent need to address unemployment and substance abuse, and a youth quota for young people at local authority and provincial council level.
Youth quota was a great start, but now we need it at all levels of government, which is as per Section 20 of the Constitution, where all levels of government have to consider youth matters. And in this case, we're talking about your councils, your provincial councils, and even public boards. So this is something that we are going to put in as a motion in Parliament that emanated from the Youth Model Parliament.
Legislators met today to discuss this in detail and draft a motion that will be tabled in Parliament soon.
It's capacitating MPs to understand the topics in depth. It's a reminder of some of the debates that came from the young people, because those will also be played throughout this workshop. And then it's taking that and formalizing a motion that we're then going to bring into House when Parliamentary opens. So throughout the year, we'll be debating these matters in hope that it will be adopted and formulates part of government actual policy.
The Zimbabwe Institute, Zimbabwe Youth Council, and Parliament's Youth Caucus launched the Youth Model Parliament to facilitate dialogue between policymakers and youth on issues that impact them. The initiative will hold annual sessions going forward. Kwekwe Central legislator Judith Tobayiwa says the program has been instrumental in bridging the long-standing gap between youth and governance.
Youth Model Parliament yakatibatsira zvakanyanya nekuda kwokuti tanga tine gap rakanyanya pakati pevechidiki nemamiriri veparamende, but zvinezvi zvakatipa musenzekete wekuti tinge tichibatanidza vechidiki neparamende. Youth Model Parliament yakaunza zvinhu zvakawanda zvayakachinja. Youth Model Parliament payakauya yakaita kuti vechidiki vauye nezvitsutsumwe zvavo zvese zvavainazvo kubva munharaunda dzavainadzo, kunyanyanyanya yedrug and substance abuse.
Zimbabwe has already made significant strides in youth empowerment, such as the youth quota system in Parliament. If the proposed youth quota in Council is passed, expectations are that it will further amplify the voices of young people across Zimbabwe. Cheryl Munjenjema for ZTN News at Parliament.
Some renewed efforts to try and end child labor, especially in mining and agriculture. Details when Newsplus comes back.
The National Social Security Authority (NASA) would like to inform all registered employers of the waiver of penalties related to the late submission of P4 returns. All employers with outstanding P4 submissions penalties for the period January 2024 to November 2024 are eligible to apply, subject to the following conditions: submitting a formal letter for waiver by 30 June 2025, uploading all outstanding P4 returns to current, settling the principal POBS and APWCS contribution and premiums arrears, updating employees' records to match active employees declared against employee listing. This initiative is part of NASA's ongoing commitment to enhance social security coverage while supporting employers facing financial constraints. For more information, contact any NASA office or numbers appearing on your screen. NASA, a lifelong promise.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. The government has joined hands with national employment councils in a renewed push to eradicate child labor, particularly in the mining and agricultural sectors. The announcement was made in Blayo during the annual NEXT symposium.
The collaboration will target the widespread use of child labor in mining and farming communities. Speaking on the sidelines of the National Employment Council Symposium in Bulawayo, Deputy Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, Mercy Dina, said the government is stepping up enforcement and advocacy efforts in collaboration with industry bodies.
As the government, we condemn child labour, and there are inspections in our ministry whereby our officials are moving from company to company and also to farms to see if there are no cases of child labour. And on the 12th of June, there's the International Labour Day, Child Labour Day, and we are celebrating it.
She said the partnership strengthens capacity to reach the grassroots where child labour is most prevalent, in line with government's commitment to protecting every child's right to education and a safe upbringing.
We are supposed to protect children, and we don't expect them to work, especially in the farms. They do a lot of work, and you can see that there is exploitation because at times they are given just a little peanuts because they are children. So we don't support that, and we are putting measures to stop child labor.
The National Employment Councils, which oversee conditions of service in various industries, will now play a more active role in monitoring labor practices and raising awareness among employers, particularly in rural and informal sectors.
All NECs have been mandated by a ministry to come up with sector policies where we address child labor to ensure that no employee below the age of 16 is supposed to be employed, right, in the respective sectors. Actually, like you have mentioned, that in the agriculture sector it has been prevalent, but now there are sector policies where NECs have tabled and ensure that there are statutory instruments which mandates that no employer is going to employ actually underage employees. The same thing was also happening.
Mining and farming communities have had the highest prevalence of child labor cases in the country, with children exploited and paid little for a day's work.
Actually, in areas to do with mining, right? This has also been addressed. So every NEC has come up with a statutory instrument. As you can see, we operate through statutory instrument. Once the statutory instrument is actually promulgated, it becomes a criminal offence for an employer to employ a child who is below 16 years.
Child labor remains a concern in Zimbabwe, with children in farming and mining communities often missing school and working in hazardous conditions. Authorities say the new partnership is a step towards stronger enforcement, broader community engagement, and long-term prevention strategies. For ZTN Prime, I'm Andile Chuma in Bulawayo.
Now, to help you prepare for the weekend ahead in terms of the weather, we are joined live by the Met Services Department Chief Forecaster, James Ngoma. James, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for making the time and for joining us. Now, this is the last week of May as we now enter into June, which is traditionally the coldest month of the winter season. Are we looking at colder temperatures at this point?
Thank you very much for that question, and good evening, viewers. Looking at the progression of the season, we usually get the coldest month being towards the middle of June, especially what is called the winter equinox, where we get the coldest part of the year. And given that aspect, we're still projecting that this season is going to be slightly colder than it was last season, where we're expecting a bit of cooling. As of now, we have experienced very cold conditions as of the end of this week. We had a bit of frost in areas such as Matopos into Gweru, and we're still expecting cooling winds for much of this month, as we're expecting a bit of cool winds from the southern parts of the continent.
Now, James, we are getting into the weekend. What is the weather looking like for those who will be outdoors?
Thank you very much for that. Looking at the conditions that we had the past few days, it was very cold, especially over the southern parts of the country, where we had cloudy conditions over Matabele and South Masvingo and Matabele and Manicaland as well. But looking at the weekend, we're expecting those clouds to clear off over those areas, and we're expecting the winds to die down. So it should get warmer as we get into Saturday and Sunday across much of the country. We're expecting more sunshine in most of the areas, and the clouds that were over those southern areas with touches of drizzle are fading off, and we're expecting the weekend to be much warmer. So it should be a perfect time for people to enjoy Africa Day, as we're expecting Sunday to be the celebration time for most families.
Well, James, thank you so much for making the time and for giving us that weather update. That was James Ngoma, Chief Forecaster with the Met Department. Now, the Zimbabwe Gender Commission marked its 10th anniversary celebrations in Harare with a commitment to boost engagement with men and boys on gender issues through a nationwide symposium series. Under the UN Spotlight Initiative, the Commission has already trained over 600 traditional leaders on preventing gender-based violence and supporting community bylaws against child marriages. By working with traditional leaders, churches and local communities, the Commission seeks to eradicate harmful practices like child marriage and discrimination based on gender, and advocacy for a robust legal framework for gender equality.
We've actually started symposiums, which we've held a number of symposiums around the country in terms of male involvement. So it's, as a commission, one thing we established was that in the initial, that we are not going to be talking just to women. We have to involve men and boys, because if we don't involve men and boys, who are supposedly the main perpetrators of some of these violations, then we are not going anywhere. So we started involving men. And last week we were actually in Honde Valley. We had the male symposium in Honde Valley. And one of the very interesting things that came out, which we had not even thought about, was the fact that by actually neglecting men in terms of in their involvement, sometimes they were saying actually the reason for gender-based violence is because men are actually treated in a way that they actually get so frustrated, they get humiliated.
The organization's CEO spoke on the Commission's plans to further assess the prevalence of sexual harassment in tertiary institutions as well as sports sectors.
Over the years, the alleged sexual harassment in tertiary institutions has been a key issue that and some of the complaints we have received here. So we thought we want to do a national inquiry into that to get more information. The issues of violations in the sports are really on the agenda now. And just as by the by, we've recently received another report or another complaint from the Zimbabwe Rugby Union. So one of the things that we can really say has happened is that the issues of sexual violations within the sporting field are on the agenda.
Now, in some agricultural news, as the effects of climate change continue to bite, small-scale farmers in Zimbabwe are taking matters into their own hands. In Mashonaland East, a group of innovative farmers are turning to traditional grains to ensure food security and adapt to the changing weather patterns. We take you to Bote village in Muzi district, where the cultivation of small grains is not only providing a lifeline for farmers, but also promoting sustainable agriculture practices.
This is Bote village in Mudzi district, where small-scale farmers are taking bold steps to adapt to changing climate conditions. This area is known for receiving minimum rainfall each year, making innovative strategies crucial for ensuring food security.
Takulima small grains and mashawa. Takudzoka muchinyakare chaicho nekuti mvura yedu ikuno yakuno region 4 ino very little imvura shomanana. Saka nekulima kukwatira magrains manje aiwa tikukohwa zvemhando iri pamusoro-soro zvokuti kana nzara hakuna ishoma. Saka tinoona kuti small grains akanaka anorapa futa.
By diversifying crop production and promoting use of traditional grains, Marshland and East farmers are reducing vulnerability to climate-related risks while enhancing food and nutrition security for families and communities.
Chakakonza kuda kuti timese small grains inyaya yemvura yedu ishoma nekuva nenzara. Kuti tetaiti tikarima chibage tanga tisikakohwe, asi izvinezvi nemvura yedu ushoma hwaine uyo tikarima mashawa tikutokohwa.
Traditional grains can withstand harsh growing conditions like drought and poor soil fertility. Rotating these grains not only preserves soil health but also contributes to improved nutrition and people's well-being.
Tirikutirima small grain yedu ndiyatadzoka muchinyakare wokudhara vakanga vachingorima chibage vana vanga vakungofa vari vana vadiki vanhu vachingofa zvisina tsarukano mashuga nemabp zvanga zvibva zvatokwira saka tadzoka muchinyakare chedu kurima small grain inotibatsira kudzivirira mabp neshuga.
As the effects of climate change continue to challenge agricultural practices, the resilience demonstrated by farmers in Bote village serves as a beacon of hope. The products from traditional grains have found their way into the market, with 1 kg of munga costing $6.15, while 2 kgs of wheat going for $7.75, and 1 kg of sorghum costing $3. These high prices simply point to a high demand, and with the right support, these farmers are paving the way for a sustainable future. For ZTN Prime, I am Francisca Msheche.
Technology is changing the face of education in the country with a growing use of artificial intelligence tools in schools. Our reporter Tafaras Wachiwe explores the opportunities and threats artificial intelligence is bringing.
Artificial intelligence, or simply AI, has revolutionized the education sector in the country, bringing changes to the traditional methods of learning and research. The technology has brought with it opportunities that have substituted the physical library and the hard copy. With one stroke of a key, an assignment or research paper is done, and this is a welcome development to learners.
So artificial intelligence in learning is very useful because it offers a wider range of resources, because limiting ourselves to our textbooks only isn't the best way to truly learn. So there are many resources, so many textbooks, past papers and all of that we can access, and AI just helps us understand better if you're not actually understanding what's happening in the textbook.
It can make you highly dependable on it, and that could really affect the work ethic of a student. It could really affect it. Because whenever you get an assignment, let's say, or if you're given a task, you just go to AI and ask it for help. So you won't really do your own thinking. It'll be more of AI working for you.
Stakeholders in the education sector, among them teachers, have called for a careful adoption of the technology in the learning environment. They believe over-reliance on technology is a threat to the education sector and the current generation of learners. It is their argument that abuse of AI kills the essential elements of education, that is research, critical thinking and creativity.
What has happened is there are some that don't even know about AI, and students will hand in a well-written document, a well-researched document, and it has been taken word for word from AI, and the teacher smiles and thinks that the child has put in a lot of work, they've put in a lot of effort, they've done well, and yet this is just plagiarized work that they've been given. But there are some stuff that do understand how AI works, and you find that they also use AI by using anti-plagiarism mechanisms.
Experts say there is a need for balance in the incorporation of AI in the education sector, including education of both learners and educators on various opportunities and threats that technology brings.
Definitely they should pay attention to AI, but they should do so with caution. So like I said, these AI tools, they are only as intelligent as the information they are given. So there is need for human assessment of these information that AI would have given. But definitely, I believe this is the time, this is the AI age, and every student and every learner should really be having the information and the knowledge on how to use these AI systems and AI tools for them to enhance their learning.
As artificial intelligence continues to reshape the educational landscape, there is a growing need to empower teachers with the necessary tools and training to navigate the digital transformation effectively. Tafaras Bachiwe for ZTN Prime.
Former Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Governor Gideon Gono is said to appear in court as a key witness in a fraud case in which a Harare couple, Clark and Beverly Makoni, is accused of fraudulently taking over his company involving $172 million Zimbabwean. The couple denies the allegations and has insisted that only Gono can tell the truth, stating that all the witnesses are basing their testimony on hearsay evidence. The former banker is expected to give his side of the story on the 13th of June before Regional Magistrate Stanford Mambanje. Businessman Eric Niyonsaba has described as malicious online reports linking him and his company Kombucha Fresh Zimbabwe, manufacturers of fresh kombucha, to terrorists allegedly targeting suspects of the Rwandan genocide staying in Zimbabwe. Through his lawyers, Niyonsaba has urged local journalists to practice responsible and fair journalism, which is not inflammatory. This follows reports by some online publications that Niyonsaba was among foreign businessmen who were harboring the suspects. The publications claim that the businessman was conducting criminal activities under the guise of running fresh kombucha business, whose income is being used to finance the alleged extrajudicial killings. In a letter, his lawyers have threatened arrest against those who published the stories online. After the break, we give you news from beyond our borders. Stay with us.
Is now and is powered by artificial intelligence. Zim Papers proudly presents the 2025 AI Conference, a groundbreaking event happening on the 30th of May in Mutare at Manicaland State University of Applied Sciences. Join leading AI experts, researchers, innovators, and institutions already applying artificial intelligence to solve real-world challenges, from media and agriculture to education and finance. Whether you are a business stakeholder, a tech enthusiast, a student, or simply curious about how AI is changing our world, this conference is for you. Don't miss this opportunity to learn, connect, and be part of Zimbabwe's digital future. For marketing and exhibition, contact Tendai Mberebe on 0772 671 488. Zim Papers AI Conference 2025. Advancing innovation, empowering Zimbabwe.
In our look at news from around the world, we started off in South Africa with residents of Cape Town having shared their opinions following US President Donald Trump's remarks about white farmers leaving South Africa, to whom he had referred to as victims of racial discrimination. This is what they had to say.
Donald Trump was focusing on the genocide, whereas he didn't actually, in my view, he didn't want to actually to listen actually where this thing emanates, why these false statements come from, because he didn't have all the information, but because it's Donald Trump doesn't care about what the explanation that you gave him. Whatever he believes, that's what Donald Trump believes.
I thought the Americans did their homework and the South Africans didn't do their homework. They weren't prepared. Everywhere else in the first world country will think it's genocide. We are so used to the killings and everything not being a genocide. So as a first world country, yes, I think he's correct.
In Mozambique, the leading port official, Osorio Lucas, has praised the United Arab Emirates as a model for development, noting that the story changed completely after Dubai Ports World assumed control of Maputo's port in 2007. The UAE is now one of Mozambique's top 5 trading partners and a leading source of foreign direct investment. MPDC's rapid development has been called a success story, with investment approaching $1 billion and cargo throughput growing from 5 million tons at the start of the concession to over 31 million tons today.
This port is a private operated port since 2003, and it has gone through a low investment cycle at the beginning of the concession. But with DP World and a second private investor, Green Road from South Africa, but led by DP World, coming in 2007, 2008, the story changed completely. So it started with a new master plan that it was developed between 2008 and 2010, after which it was possible to invest just around $800 million in this interval between 2010 and 2024, I would say.
Now, a Spanish auto supplier has raised concerns about U.S. tariffs on imported automobiles and auto parts, highlighting that the policies not only affect large multinational corporations, but also severely impact small businesses. A family-owned business based in Madrid has specialized in machining parts for precision tools over 60 years. The U.S. has long been a key overseas market for the company, but now the tariffs have affected how they operate.
El sector de la automoción, que ha sido el sector básico en el que nos hemos movido. Actualmente del orden del 40% de nuestro producto sale a exportación directamente, y del orden del 90% va incorporado en otros conjuntos que también salen fuera de España. Estamos por debajo de empresas como Valeo, Bosch, y nosotros les surtimos a ellos, ¿no? Directamente nosotros no le exportamos a Estados Unidos, pero sí que va a incorporar un conjunto que luego va a ir montado en un coche, que ese coche sí que se va a exportar a Estados Unidos. A toda la cadena de valor de automoción le va a afectar, sin duda alguna. Un 30 y un 35% es posible que sí que nos afecte de alguna manera.
Reforms to attract more foreign direct investment. Details when we take a look at business news after this. The Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency has intensified its efforts to streamline investment processes as part of a broader strategy to attract more foreign direct investment into the country. This renewed drive includes simplifying administrative procedures, enhancing transparency, and reducing bureaucratic red tape that has historically discouraged potential investors. Zida Chief Executive Tafazo Chinamo speak.
The efforts that we're doing, especially the ones that we are leading as ZIDA, the Office of the President and Cabinet, and several other ministries and agencies, is to first of all just make it clear to anyone that this is how things work in this country. Whatever you want, be it a permit, a license, you know the process itself, how it's done. So that's the first phase that we're doing. The second phase, which we are hoping to launch towards the end of the year, is really more now that all of these things are done electronically. You don't have to literally visit offices and so forth. So I think once you put that into perspective, the environment starts to become clearer, and whoever is going to interact with that environment, at least they know from day one what they're getting into, which is not the case now. But obviously it needs support, like has been said, monetary stability, lower inflation and things like that. And the more that business people and ordinary citizens start to see that things do work, then that environment will become what we always wanted to do.
The government has launched a new national human settlement policy aimed at bringing sanity to urban development and land administration. At the heart of the policy is a strong commitment to tackling land baronism, a practice where individuals or syndicates illegally sell state or communal land for personal gain. According to the Minister of Local Government, the new policy also seeks to curb the proliferation of illegal structures which have become common in many urban and peri-urban areas, often built without proper planning approvals or adherence to safety standards.
The policy is talking also to planning and compliance. All are the days of, excuse me, let me use my language, I'll come back to the international language. Yeah, nando kuchitekesera na mastents. Land baronism. All are the days for land baronism. And we're encouraging all of us, particularly youngsters, don't buy land from dubious people. Doesn't matter the color of the suit he's wearing. A dubious person is a dubious person. State land is owned by the state. It's not owned by individuals. In fact, ask yourself questions. Why is this land in Mount Pleasant so cheap? $5,000 in Oroville, $2,000 in Pomona. Ask yourself those questions before you part with your hard-earned money. Once you still come back to us wanting help, please don't buy land from illegal land sellers.
South Africa's government plans to push ahead with a policy directive that provides a workaround to black ownership requirements in the telecommunications industry, aiming to encourage Elon Musk's Starlink and other satellite services to operate in the country. The government asked the country's telecoms regulator to allow for an equity equivalent program for the industry, according to a directive signed by Communications and Digital Technologies Minister Solly Malatsi. Such a program would grant operators like Starlink access to Africa's largest market without ceding ownership. Still in business, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened once again on Friday to ramp up his trade war, recommending a 50% tariff on EU goods starting on the 1st of June and warning Apple that he may impose a 25% tariff on any iPhones manufactured outside the U.S. The twin threats, delivered via social media, roiled global markets after weeks of de-escalation and had provided some reprieve. The S&P 500 fell 0.9% in early trading, the Nasdaq fell 1.5% and European shares fell 1.1%. Trump's latest broadside against the EU stemmed from his frustration at the lack of progress in trade talks with the bloc. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Fox News on Friday that the 50% threat will hopefully light a fire under the EU, adding that other countries have been negotiating with Washington in good faith. And now we give you some entertainment news.
It's time for the main event. This is incredible. He has written it, and the dream lives on. I cannot believe it.
Stay connected to DSTV this April and May and get all the football finals you want.
The stage is set, the drums are calling, and Mutare is ready to burst with cultural energy as the Chibuku Neshamwari Traditional Dance Festival Provincial Finals arrive at Muchina Muombe Bar this Saturday for the Manicaland Showdown. Performances will span a vibrant spectrum of traditional styles from Bende Jerusalema, Tum Chongoyo, Jana, and Beni Arinote. 10 traditional dance groups will battle it out for a coveted place in the national finals. Under the theme Ngoma Ngairi Reshangwari, Chais Gobumgani, the 2025 edition of the festival seeks to unite Zimbabweans through the timeless language of dance and drumming. Still in entertainment, Tammy Moyo has released a remix for her song titled Husikuweze, featured on a 2024 album compilation. This time, she recruited the Sungura living legend Mark Ngwazi. Here is a snippet of the song. Merrymakers across the country are spoiled for choice this weekend as most event organizers align their shows with the Africa Day celebrations. Africa Day is celebrated on the 25th of May every year since 1963, when the Organization of African Unity, now the AU, was established. Here is a lineup of events to look forward to. As the countdown to Africa Day reaches its fever pitch, the Sunshine City Festival, taking place at Ale Sports Club in Harare, is a must-attend event. Local acts participating in the two-day festival include Nyasha David, Oriano, Feli Nandi, Saint Flo and Miss Les Zimbabwe. Top South African Amapiano superstars DJ Amaporisa and Prince KB are also part of the strong lineup.
Oh, Mariana, ah, yeah, Mariana, ah, yeah, oh, Mariana.
Kusheshe Leisure Center in Mutare will be buzzing this Saturday as it hosts the country's finest Zim Danzo stars led by Freeman. Dubbed the City to City Tour, Freeman will share the stage with Killer T, Master H, Enzo Aishal, Say Colors and Force JT. South African hip-hop sensation Nasty C and popular DJ and producer Kabza De Small are set to light up Gweru this Africa Day on Sunday with performances at two separate events. Nasty C will headline a show dubbed Midlands Evasion at the iconic Gweru Sports Club. He will share the stage with fellow South African artist Emo, supported by local acts including Baga, K-Flow, Tanto Wavy and The New School. Meanwhile, Kabza De Small is scheduled to perform at the Culture Center. He is also expected to stage another performance in Blayo at Cosmopolitan later that evening. Alec Macheso and Somandla Mafia Ndebele will spend another weekend together. Tonight, the Sungura stalwarts will be in action in Chinoi. After this double performance, the dynamic duo will proceed to Karoi for an Africa Day Eve show. Zimbabwe's most sought-after Mbira princess Amadou Sasha has cemented a dominance on the local scene with her polished performances. Tonight she is billed to perform at Grub Restaurant and Pub in Eastleigh, Harare. Tomorrow attention shifts to Sungura as Peter Moyo is scheduled to perform at the same venue, backed by the superb Utaka Taka Express, promising fireworks. And now we give you some sporting action.
Showmax, your favorite characters now follow you anywhere. Download it today and watch the best in local, international, and everything in between.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful. Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
In our look at sport, we start off with some cricket, with Brian Bennett continuing to solidify his status as Zimbabwe cricket's brightest prospect following his breathtaking performance in the first innings of the ongoing historic 4-day test match against England at Trent Bridge. His 97-ball century against England in the first test match between Zimbabwe and England in 22 years is now the fastest ton by a Zimbabwean in the format, surpassing the previous quickest of 106 balls by Sean Williams against New Zealand in 2016. He fell for 139 runs off 143 balls, his highest score in the longest version. He received a standing ovation from the fans at Trent Bridge as he walked back to the pavilion. Bennett also became the second Zimbabwean cricketer to score a test century in England after Murray Goodwin in 2000 at the same ground, and the overall third to reach triple figures against the Three Lions, with Andy Flower being the other one. Now, in a world where traditional notions of strength are often associated with masculinity, one woman is shattering expectations and redefining what it means to be strong. Chidomaya Nzanise has risen to the top of his sport, ranking #1 in Africa and 21st in the world. Our reporter Lato Nyangu sat down with Chido and filed this report.
In a world where strength is often associated with masculinity, one woman is breaking down barriers, redefining what it means to be strong. Meet Chido, a trailblazing strong woman with a passion for fitness and a drive to inspire.
Because for this sport, most people, they say that it's for men, but if it's being done by a woman, it's such a huge achievement and great success. You know, people say it a lot because they think, and they're still thinking, that this sport is for men, but it's a no, because if you go out there, there are strong women all over the world. Here in Zimbabwe, yes, I'm the first one to introduce this sport.
Today, Chido is ranked #1 in Africa and 21 in the world among strong women. She trains over 5 hours a day, pushing her limits. Her dedication and hard work have earned her numerous awards and recognition.
I usually train once, say that maybe in the morning or maybe in the evening, but I usually train for 4 to 5 hours a day. That's how I train. Because this sport, it includes power, so I obviously need to train for power. It needs endurance, so obviously I need to train for endurance. And it also needs speed, I need to train also for speed.
While some women dream of losing weight, Chido has bigger goals. She hopes to lift over 160 kgs. Her eating habits are designed to fuel her fitness journey, and she doesn't even count her meals.
In my eating habits, you know, I don't have like particular meals in which you say breakfast, lunch, supper, because I just pick at any time, at any moment. I don't count my meals, but what I know is I eat. I eat, yeah.
Chido's lifestyle is all about fitness and wellness. She doesn't believe in violence and aggression, and she's not into the bouncers world. Her passion is fitness, and she's committed to staying true to herself.
Maybe if I lift in the gym, my lifestyle will be like of lifting people, of doing violence. No, I don't do that. because it's like I'm just a chill person, because I'm also a human being. So once I'm done with gym, I'm also tired, so I need to rest. Because it's like whilst I'm at home, my hobby is just rest, sleep, and maybe watch TV. That's what I usually do. Because
despite a tough exterior, Chido is romantic at heart. She hopes to find a partner who accepts her for who she is, passion and all.
Yeah, just separate the two. I just do what suits the environment. If I'm in the gym, I do what suits in the gym. Whilst I'm at church, I do what suits the environment. Whilst I'm out there, I'm just a normal human being. Yes, people can tell that, they can say that this is a gym person, but I'm just as soft as some other people out there.
The Iron Queen, Chido, is a true champion and an inspiration to us all. Her journey is a reminder that with hard work, determination and passion, we can achieve anything we set our minds to. For ZTN Prime, I'm Latwo Nyango in Harare.
Now in some football, the PSL game between Scotland and Chicken Inn this afternoon at Rufaro was abandoned. There was drama after Scotland was awarded a penalty in added time, with Chicken Inn players immediately protesting for a lengthy period. PSL said they will be waiting for match reports before they can give a position. We give you the highlights.
Marvelous Chugumira. Now to Panashe Timbanyoka on the right-hand side, to fix in the cross there. He's looking for Walter Muswana, and he's asking for a penalty, and he gets a penalty. In the 89th minute, Tedisani Birwai, he needs some protection now. The Chicken Inn players are livid, and they are not having it here. Some protection has come through for Tedisani Birwai. He points to the spot, had a second to think about it, and immediately Joey Antipas has gone on the field of play. He's trying to calm his players down. There's Sunny Birwai, and now the ZRP police have come in. As you see the replay here, Panashe Timbanyoka flicks it in here with a cross. A shot by Walter Msona, and of course it hit his elbow. Question is, was that his arm or just above the sleeve? It looked as well, it is debatable there, but his hand was raised into the air. 89th minute. Scotland players appealed for a penalty, and they've been given a penalty. Chicken Inn players are livid. Joey Antipas has had to go in to calm his players down there, and now the ZRP police have come in. Definitely have a stoppage.
We now look at PSL matches that are lined up for the weekend. Well, that's all we had for you on Newsplus this Friday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We leave you with the weather forecast. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend.